What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I decided to try out a new video series idea, 10 fighters to watch for this month. I know it says April, but we're in March. Since I'm starting this in the middle or like towards the end of March, we're just going to cover some fighters from March cards, March pay-per-views and whatnot, and then also cover April fighters. And then next month it'll just be May, and every month forward will just be that month from the start of the month, so shit will make more sense. But let's just jump right into it. First fighter you should look out for is fighting this month, Adrian Yanez, coming off of a crazy win streak, 5 in the UFC in his last 5 fights, obviously. Record of 16-3, which is solid at bantamweight. Looks like a mini Masvidal. He's taken on Rob Font at UFC 287, I believe on the main card, and that's one of the most exciting fights for me on that card. As I mentioned in my last video about bantamweight is my favorite division, and I think it's the most stacked. And Adrian Yanez and fighters like Adrian Yanez coming up are the reason that division is just so fucking deep. It's just crazy. I've been riding high on Adrian since probably around 2020. He was my breakout fighter, and I think 2020 or 2021, I don't remember which one exactly, but yeah, there was a couple breakout fighters, and for bantamweight, it was for sure Adrian Yanez for me. So definitely watch for this man. He's such an exciting prospect. He has amazing boxing, super technical, heart. He's gritty. He's just a dog. Watch for him. Next up, we got Ricky Simon, another bantamweight fighter holding a record of 20-3. Also, 5 wins in his last 5 fights in the octagon. Ricky Simon is just coming into his own, man. Since the losses to Uriah Faber and then to Rob Font, ever since those losses, he's just looked like an absolute killer. He's put away most fighters that he fought. He knocked out Rafael Sunsao in his second to last fight, which is looking even more impressive considering how Sunsao's looked in his last fights and the people he's looked so good against. I've always been really high on Ricky Simon. I think he has a couple style matchups like Merab that are going to be really difficult for him in the top of the division. I know Ricky beat him technically the first fight. It was very controversial, but I just feel like in a rematch, Merab could possibly have his number. But I feel like he counters people like Sean O'Malley, who's literally number 1 in the division. So we need to get some movement here for Ricky Simon. I'm trying to remember who he's fighting. I think it's Song Yadong. Don't exactly remember, but stay on the lookout for him for sure. Next up, we got the big boys over in the heavyweight division. We got Chris Barnett, one of my favorite fighters in the division and honestly in the sport right now. When I saw his debut and his fucking spinning heel kick that he got on Jean Vellante, which I don't think was in his debut, but his second fight, I was just already a fan. I love his energy, I love the dancing, I like the theatrics, I'm a fan of that shit, because he can also back it up in the cage. He definitely has some things to work on, and my man needs to trim down the weight, because it'll just be better for his career and his longevity. Has a 23-8 record. I think he's on a win type of a back and forth right now in the UFC, but hopefully he can really put it together. He's also fighting on UFC 287, so stay on the lookout for Chris Barnett. He's an awesome heavyweight fighter. Next up in the flyweight division, we got my boy Manilius Capelius, otherwise known as Manel Cape, the Starboy, holding a record of 18-6. Losses in his first 2 efforts in the UFC, and then now 3 wins back to back. He's been looking good. He's been looking sharp. His striking's been looking a lot sharper. He's been looking a lot more calm in the octagon. He's been providing more output in the early rounds, which is what his biggest problem was. It was so frustrating to watch him in his first 2 fights because he clearly has the talent and athleticism to go far in the division, and even honestly the skill set and like the mindset for MMA. He's been around a while. He just was not fucking fighting. Like, he would not throw anything, and that was his problem. He was like looking for the knockout blow, looking for the perfect shots, and I think he's starting to learn that you can't do that in the octagon. So I'm looking forward to watching him. I believe he's fighting on, let me check real quick. Yeah, he's fighting on UFC 286, so that's a this month card. Look out for him. Moving up the list, we got my man Joe Pyfer, Joey P, fighting in the 185-pound division, holding a record of 4-1 in his last 5. And he looked, I think he just debuted not too long ago, and he looked great. He got a knockout. I'm super excited to see him fighting on, I believe it's UFC 287 on the prelims. I don't remember who he's fighting against, but he's holding a 10-2 record, and we need more prospects in 185 pounds to look forward to. That division is not very steep in the rankings at all. It's kind of dead, low key. Like, if right when you break into the top 15, you essentially only need to win one to like really cement yourself as potentially a top 5 fighter or even a title candidate. So yeah, more guys in 185 like Joey P. Now into King Jamal Hill's division, light heavyweight division. We got Azamat Murzakanov holding a perfect professional record of 12-0. This man is looking solid so far in the UFC and Dana White's Contender Series and his regional bouts. I think his last fight was against Devin Clark, and he's one of those fighters where even when he looks gassed out, even when he looks like he's slowing down, he's not gassed out, and he's not slowing down. He's still dangerous. He can finish you with a flying knee in the 3rd round. He can finish you with an overhand, with a hook. He can catch you. He can grind you out. He's just a really well-rounded fighter. Now, I don't think he's going to hold his perfect undefeated record for much longer, but I do think he's going to be somebody that will make a splash in the top probably 10 of the light heavyweight division, bare minimum. And now in the featherweight division, we got a GOAT, an OG, Edson Barboza. This is one of my favorite fighters of all time. He's just a fucking walking highlight reel, and he looks like an action figure carved out of Brazilian stone. He is 3-2 in his last 5, which, isn't great, but he's still dangerous at all times, and he's taken out some really good fighters even in this featherweight division. So always somebody you want to look out for. He's taking on Billy Quarantillo at, one of the fight nights. That's a crazy fight. I feel like the UFC is kind of setting up Edson to lose, low-key. That is the worst style matchup, but this is my man. I'm going to root with him. I'm going to root for him till I die, so check out Edson Barboza when he fights soon. And now again in the 145-pound division, but this time back to a undefeated prospect, Lerone Murphy, 11-0-1, one draw. That draw came to Zubaira Tukhugov. So basically undefeated in his last 5. And he's somebody that I think people probably forgot about because he hasn't fought in a minute. I think he's been dealing with injuries and whatnot outside of the cage, but he's going to be coming back really soon here, actually. I believe on the card this weekend, UFC 286. I'm looking forward to him fighting. He is dangerous everywhere. He's got crisp striking, great mind for the game. You have to if you're still undefeated at this point. He's fighting out of England too, so of course he's going to be one of those fighters on this card that's getting like a gimme matchup. But either way, nonetheless, check out Lerone Murphy this weekend. Now back to the bantamweight division for the last fighter we're going to talk about today, the 10th fighter, Raul Rosas Jr. The hottest prospect in MMA at the moment, of course, because he's 18 years old, youngest fighter on the UFC roster, youngest fighter to ever be signed at 17. He's fighting for Mexico, and he's honestly, he looks solid. He has slick jiu-jitsu. He has that next generation fighting style, if that makes sense, like next generation mentality, not fighting style. And what I mean when I say that is he'll go for some shit like a takedown fake or a flying knee fake into a takedown, or just slick shit like that. He'll go for crazy unorthodox shit that is exciting to watch as a fan, and I'm sure he's going to tighten it up as his career goes on and he gets smarter and wiser and he fights more dangerous fighters. So enjoy it while we have it. That's all I'm going to say. He's a great prospect to watch for, of course, like everyone else in this video. If you fuck with my content, if you fuck with the videos I've been putting out lately, then give me a sub, give me a like. Put in the comments below who you think should be on a list like this, or who I should be looking out for coming up in the future, or who you guys are excited for this month. I'll catch y'all.